The night my daughter was fighting for her life in the ICU. My father called to remind me to bring folding tables for my brother's birthday. When I said no, he said the words that rewired my entire life. Then you're cut off. That sentence didn't just end a call. It ended a lifetime of being their wallet, their handyman, their silence. I hung up, blocked his number, and thought it was over. But what I didn't know was that saying no would start a war one fought with lies, hacked accounts, and the kind of love that demands your surrender. Before I continue, tell me where you're watching from. And hit like and subscribe if you've ever been betrayed by family. Because what happened next wasn't just about money, it was about control, silence, and the kind of love that comes with conditions. This isn't a story of revenge. It's the story of breaking free. I used to believe families were systems like the ones I taught in class. Forces, masses, reactions. Push here, something moves there. Keep the balance, and everything stays standing. But physics never met the Parkers. My earliest memory isn't a birthday or a holiday. It's the sound of a fan refusing to spin. I was 10, kneeling on the cracked linoleum floor, twisting wires together with a butter knife, because Dad said, "Don't make me look like a fool in front of the neighbors." He smoked by the window while I fixed it. When the blades finally turned, he patted my head once, more like checking for dust than pride, and told Mom, "See, kid's useful." I smiled like that was enough. Mom's voice always came wrapped in apology. "Don't upset your father, Ethan. He's under stress." Stress, in our house, was a guest who never left. It sat at the dinner table between us, chewing louder than anyone else. Then there was Ryan, 7 years younger and born shiny. If I got a B+, Dad called it slipping. If Ryan remembered to feed the dog, he got applause. He was the golden boy, the promise that maybe Dad hadn't failed. "He's gonna be something," Dad would say, pride thick in his throat. He never said that about me, not once. I didn't realize it then, but favoritism doesn't just hurt, it trains you. I learned to earn affection with usefulness. If something broke, I fixed it. If bills piled up, I quietly paid one. It was a language of service, disguised as love. At 17, I spent my summer tutoring kids at the library, saving every dollar to buy a used graphing calculator. The week before school started, Ryan borrowed it to impress a friend, dropped it, and shattered the screen. Dad laughed. "He's just a kid." "He's 14, I said. "And you're supposed to look out for him," Dad replied. So, I did. I worked double shifts and bought another one. I told myself responsibility was my superpower. I didn't know it was a leash. By the time I graduated college, Dad had found a new way to measure worth money. Ryan tried college for a semester, dropped out, and declared himself a crypto entrepreneur. Dad called it vision. When Ryan's ventures flopped, I got calls that began with guilt and ended with requests. "You know your brother's under pressure. Your mother's dental crown cracked again." The power bill came in high this month. I was 24 the first time I paid their rent. I was 26 when I paid Ryan's car insurance, just until he gets back on his feet. At 28, when I got my teaching job at Ridgeview High, Dad said, "Good. Stable income. We can plan around you." Those words should have been comforting. They felt like a trap. Still, I played along. Sunday dinners at their place. Me fixing the same, flickering kitchen light every few months, while Dad sat back, beer sweating in his hand, saying, "Don't know what we'd do without you, son." It sounded like gratitude, but it was really a contract renewed every time I said nothing. When Lily was born, I thought everything would shift. I'd have my own family, my own orbit. And for a while, it worked. Her first cry rewired me. Suddenly, the world wasn't about earning love, it was about giving it freely. But giving doesn't come naturally to people raised on scarcity. I overcompensated. I built routines like fortresses, bedtime stories, Saturday pancakes, little sticky notes with physics jokes on the fridge. "You are my constant," I'd tell her. And she'd giggle. "You're my variable." But constants crack under pressure. Ryan's messages never stopped. "Bro, can I borrow your card for gas? Bro, you got Venmo? Bro, you're good at budgeting. Help me not drown." Drown meant throw yourself in with me. I said yes too many times. It was easier than the guilt of saying no. Then came the day Mom texted, "You think you're better than us now?" It was after I refused to fund another one of Ryan's projects. I stared at the words until they blurred. That was the first time I thought about blocking them. I didn't. Not yet. At school, Priya noticed before I admitted it. She'd catch me staring at the copier like it owed me answers. "You look like you're solving the wrong equation," she said once. I laughed it off, told her it was just grading burnout. But the truth was simpler. I was tired of being the family's power source. And yet, even exhaustion felt safer than silence. Because silence meant confrontation, and confrontation was Dad's domain. I didn't know it then. But all those quiet yeses were adding up like invisible debt. The kind you don't see until it crushes you. That debt came due on a night thick, with hospital disinfectant and mechanical breathing. Lily was 6 the first time she had a real asthma attack. It started after a school field trip to the coast. Salt wind, cold air, excitement. By the time we got home, she was wheezing, shoulders rising like she was trying to lift the air itself. That night, as I counted her breaths, I realized how fragile constants really are. After that, I kept her inhaler in every pocket jacket, car, work bag. I knew every nurse by name. Still, I never told my parents the full story. They'd only turn it into guilt currency. "If you didn't work so much," Mom would say, "maybe you should move back home." Dad would add, pretending it was concern. Our home life was small but steady: 2 bedrooms, one cracked window that sang in the wind. Lily drew galaxies on sticky notes and taped them over the walls. She said each one was a place where people don't fight about money. She was 8 when she told me that. I wanted to tell her we'd build that kind of world, even if it was just for 2. Then, 2 months before everything broke, Dad called about Ryan's wedding anniversary party. "We'll do it big this year," he said. "Your brother's been through a lot." I almost laughed. "Through what? Exactly?" "You don't get it," he snapped. "He's trying." "At what?" "Being a man." The irony hung there like cigarette smoke. I ended up showing up anyway. Not for them, for Lily. She liked seeing cousins she barely knew. The backyard was strung with cheap fairy lights, the kind that flickered like they were tired of pretending to shine. Mom hugged Lily and then looked over her shoulder at me. "You didn't bring the folding tables? You never asked?" She sighed, as if I'd ruined Christmas. During dinner, Dad raised his glass to Ryan. "To my son who never gives up." He looked at me when he said it. I smiled, thin and brittle, and toasted back with water. Afterward, I found Ryan near the garage, smoking. "You could have brought a better gift," he said. "You could have gotten a job," I replied. He grinned. "Still the responsible one, huh? Keep it up. Maybe Dad'll put you in his will." He said it like a joke, but I knew better. In our family, love and inheritance were the same thing: conditional. A week later, Dad texted, "Need you to fix the breaker again. Lights keep flickering." I almost ignored it. Almost. Instead, I packed my toolbox and went. The house smelled like stale beer and lemon cleaner. Ryan hovered behind me as I worked. "So, you're not coming to the birthday next month?" he asked. "I've got work." "Work or excuses?" I didn't answer. He laughed. "Whatever, man. I'll just tell Dad you're being weird again." It should have rolled off me. But by then, every word from them felt like sandpaper. That night, I stayed late grading papers in the lab. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. Priya stopped by on her way out. "Still here?" she asked. "Safer than home," I said before I could stop myself. She studied me for a moment. "You ever think about setting boundaries?" I wouldn't know where to start. "Start where it hurts," she said. I went home and found a note from Lily on the fridge. "You are my favorite equation." She'd drawn us as stick figures holding a ruler between 2 hearts. Something in me cracked in the softest way possible. Then came the night she collapsed. A normal evening: spaghetti, cartoons, laughter echoing down the hallway. Then the wheezing, sudden and sharp. I called 911, my hands shaking so bad I dropped the phone once. In the ambulance, she looked up at me, eyes glassy. "It's okay, Dad," she whispered. "I'll breathe soon." At the hospital, everything turned sterile: beeping monitors, blue gloves, cold light. I kept whispering, "Inhale, slow, exhale." I must have said it 100 times. Then my phone buzzed. "Dad." For a split second, I thought maybe he'd heard. Maybe, for once, he cared. "Tomorrow's your brother's birthday," he said. I stared at the floor. "Dad, she's in ICU." "Then come after. Just help with the setup." "I can't." He sighed. That signature Parker sigh. then you're cut off. 9. Those words weren't new. They'd been said before after money arguments. After I said no. But never like this. Never when my daughter was fighting for air. Something in me stopped bending. I hung up. The hallway felt like a vacuum. I blocked his number and went back to Lily's room. Machines clicked and hissed. Her little hand twitched under the blanket. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel guilty. I felt free. But freedom, like physics, always has consequences. I didn't know it yet. But that single no would unravel everything: our finances, our family chat, our history. And somewhere between the monitor beeps, I started counting breaths and debts and realized I was finally done paying both. The morning after the call, the hospital felt quieter, as if even the machines were holding their breath. Lily's oxygen levels had steadied, and the doctor said the next 24 hours would tell us everything. I should have felt relief. Instead, I felt the weight of a silence I'd never known. No buzzing phone, no group chat pings, no "hey, can you send?" messages. Just stillness. It was almost peaceful. Almost. By noon, that peace cracked. A text from Mom slipped through from a different number. "You don't mean what you said. Your father's just emotional." Then another. "We still need your cooler for the party. Ryan can swing by to get it." My thumb hovered over the screen. I didn't reply. I deleted both. Then another message arrived, this time from Ryan. "Don't make this bigger than it is. It's just one day. Family first. Family first." I'd heard that phrase my whole life. It was never an invitation. It was a leash. At 3 p.m., Priya stopped by the hospital with coffee. She glanced at my phone lighting up again and said, "You know you don't have to read them, right?" "I know." "Then why do you?" I didn't have an answer that made sense. Maybe because silence felt like neglect. Maybe because I still wanted to believe someone would apologize. That night, I opened the family group chat: Parker Crew. The last message was from Mom. "Remember to bring napkins." Ryan had added a link to a $400 projector. "This one, bro. Don't cheap out." I typed slowly. Ava, then backspaced, wrong name. My mind slipped between teacher and father. Lily is in ICU. I will not attend the party. I will not pay for anything. Please do not contact me unless it's about her health. The typing bubbles flickered, disappeared, then returned like small explosions. "Dad, your grandmother would be ashamed of you." Ryan, bro, it's one party. Don't make it about you. Mom, stop trying to control us. We're celebrating family. I took a screenshot. Then I muted the chat. At midnight, I started cleaning my phone, closing old tabs, deleting saved card logins, changing passwords. It felt less like maintenance and more like surgery. Every click was a cut through the web they'd built around me. The next morning, an email arrived from the bank. "Unusual activity detected on your Costco account." My pulse jumped. I logged in. Sure enough, someone had ordered $280 worth of party supplies and streaming lights. Authorized user, Richard Parker. I stared at the screen, the cursor blinking like a dare. Then I removed his access, shut down the account, and called customer service. "Please issue a new card. No additional users." The woman on the line said, "Would you like to file a fraud claim?" "Not yet," I said. "Just make it stop." That afternoon, Dad left a voicemail. "You think you can embarrass us? Fine. Handle your own emergencies from now on." His voice was calm, measured, which somehow made it worse. That tone always meant he believed he'd already won. By evening, the group chat lit up again, this time with public theater. Ryan posted screenshots of half-truths, old Venmo requests labeled gas, photos of receipts beside my name. The caption read, "Guess who abandoned family?" Ants chimed in like clockwork. "So disappointed. Your father raised you better." I didn't answer. I wrote 3 short texts instead, one to each of them. Effective immediately. I'm no longer providing money, credit, or labor for family expenses. Do not use my name or accounts. Contact me only for emergencies regarding health or safety. Send. The replies came fast. Mom, you're being cruel. Dad, don't test me. Ryan, LOL. Okay, lawyer man. Still bringing the cake though? I turned off my phone and let the ICU monitors fill the silence. The sound was steady, like a metronome marking the tempo of something breaking and rebuilding at once. For the first time in 36 years, I wasn't waiting for their approval. I was waiting for peace. But the Parkers never accepted silence. They turned it into war. The next day, Dad showed up at the hospital. He didn't text first, didn't ask permission. He just appeared in the doorway like a shadow the fluorescent lights couldn't chase away. He wasn't holding flowers or a book for Lily, just his voice, sharpened. "Grow up," he said. I stood slowly. "Lower your voice." He pointed at my chest. "You embarrassed your mother in front of everyone. You think because you pay a few bills you get to dictate how this family runs?" "Not dictate," I said. "Just stop funding the circus." He scoffed. "Same thing when you use it to hurt people." A nurse peeked in, sensing the air crack. I gestured that it was fine. It wasn't. "Here's what's going to happen," Dad said. "You're going to unlock that card. You're going to bring those tables. You're going to show your face for your brother." "No." His jaw twitched. "Then you're cut off." "You said that already." I told him, and I accepted. He blinked like he didn't understand the language I was speaking. "What about when we're old? When we need help? You'll leave us to rot?" My chest went cold. "I'll help with health and safety. Not parties. Not debts. Not lies. You think you're better than us." I looked at Lily's small hand resting on the blanket, the pulse monitor glowing faint red. "I think I'm better than the version of me who kept saying yes and called it love." His nostrils flared. "Ungrateful." "Leave," I said quietly. "You're scaring my child." For a moment, I thought he might soften. He didn't. He turned and muttered, "Don't come crawling back." The door shut. I let out a breath I hadn't realized I was holding. That night, I called the union's legal line. "Hi," I said. "I need advice about boundaries with family." "Are there debts involved?" the woman asked. "Just habits dressed up as debts." She told me to document everything, keep records, and if they escalated, we'd talk restraining order. The phrase restraining order felt absurd, like putting handcuffs on ghosts. But I wrote it all down anyway. 3 days later, Lily's vitals improved. The doctor smiled when she opened her eyes fully for the first time. "She's turning a corner," he said. I squeezed her hand, whispered, "You're doing great, baby." She blinked. "Dad, about Grandpa?" My throat tightened. "Don't worry about him. Just focus on breathing." She frowned weakly. "Don't be mad at me like that." I almost laughed from the ache of it. Even half awake, she thought kindness meant silence. That's how deep it ran in our bloodline. The next morning, I stepped into the hospital lounge to grab coffee. My phone buzzed again, unknown number. I answered. "Wow, you blocked me." Ryan's voice slurred through background music and clinking glasses. "That's cold, bro." "You at your party?" I asked. "Yeah. Mom says you're trying to ruin it." "Listen, the projector place won't take Dad's card. Just put it on yours. I'll Venmo you later." "No." A pause. Then laughter. Sharp and mean. "You're really gonna do this to me?" "I'm really gonna do this for me," I said. "For Lily?" He pressed. "Especially for her." He cursed and hung up. 2 hours later, Aunt Linda texted. "What did you do?" "Your dad's pacing." I didn't reply. I didn't have to. The storm had already started. By evening, pictures of the birthday popped up online. Ryan with sparklers. Mom in a plastic tiara. Dad pretending to cut a cake with a bread knife. Every photo caption read like a dig. "Family over everything." The next day, Dad posted a long paragraph on Facebook. "Some sons forget who raised them." The comments were predictable praise for his sacrifice, sympathy for his heartbreak. I didn't respond. Silence was my rebellion. But Ryan wasn't done. He went after the one thing he thought would still hurt me, my credit. That afternoon, I got an alert from the bank. "Suspicious activity, $900. DoorDash charge on your closed gas card." Then 3 subscription sign-ups on my Amazon account. He was testing the locks I'd just installed. I called the fraud department. The woman on the line walked me through the steps. I told her everything, down to the petty details. She paused, then said softly, "You're doing the right thing, Mr. Parker." When we hung up, I stared at my reflection in the window. For the first time, I saw someone who wasn't trying to be the hero of someone else's story. Just a man trying to stay sane. That night, Mom called from Dad's phone. I shouldn't have answered, but I did. "You humiliated us," she said before I could speak. "Chases," she caught herself. "Ryan's account bounced because you took away the transfer. Do you know how that makes us look? Like adults." I said. "You promised." "I promised nothing. I asked for respect." You're selfish. I'm a father, I said, and a teacher. I'm done being a wallet. You learned that cold tone from your textbooks. No, I said. I learned it from being told then you're cut off in a hospital hallway. I hung up. When I turned, Lily was awake, watching cartoons with the sound low. She looked at me and smiled. You look lighter, she said. Do I? Yeah. Like you exhaled. Maybe I finally had. That night, the world felt quiet again, but this time, it wasn't the quiet of guilt. It was the quiet of something beginning. 2 days after Lily came off the oxygen, the air in her room felt lighter. The machines had stopped their beeping chorus, replaced by the soft rhythm of her breathing and the rustle of cartoon pages she was coloring. I thought maybe, finally, we could breathe too. Then the door opened. Dad, I said before even turning, because no one else walked with that kind of entitlement. He stood there in his usual armor-pressed shirt, disapproval sharp as cologne. You're still here, he said, like I was trespassing in my own daughter's room. She's recovering, I said. Good, he replied. Then you can come home and fix what you broke. I didn't answer. He took a step closer. Your mother's been crying for days. Ryan's furious. You humiliated us publicly. People are asking questions. Let them, I said quietly. He shook his head. You used to be reliable. What happened to that boy who fixed things? I met his eyes. He learned some things shouldn't be fixed. Something flickered behind his face, anger, confusion, maybe even fear, but it passed. So that's it? You're cutting us off? You already did, I said. He moved closer, voice low. You think you can live without family? Without loyalty? Loyalty isn't obedience, I said. Don't twist my words. They twist themselves, I said. He laughed once, bitter. You've always had an answer. Always needed the last word. I'm not arguing anymore, I said. I'm done. He leaned over the bed rail, lowering his voice so Lily couldn't hear. When I die, don't you dare come looking for forgiveness. It was meant to wound. It didn't. I won't have to, I said. I already gave it to myself. He straightened, eyes narrowing. You'll regret this when I'm gone. And that's when I heard her. Lily's voice, small but steady. Grandpa, she whispered. Stop yelling at my dad. We both turned. She was sitting up, the blanket bunched around her knees, eyes wide but clear. Dad blinked. Sweetheart, I wasn't. Yes, you were, she said. And he said no? You always get mad when people say no. The room went still. The hum of the air conditioner filled the silence he couldn't. Lily, I said gently. It's okay. She shook her head. No, it's not. You told me boundaries keep people safe. So why don't you have one with him? Her voice cracked something open that decades of shouting never could. I saw my father's face tighten, then collapse not into shame, but into defense. You've been teaching her lies, he said. She's learning truth, I replied. He stared at me, at her, then back again. His mouth opened like he had something righteous to say, but no words came. He turned and walked out, his footsteps sharp against the tile. When the door shut, Lily looked at me with those wide brown eyes. Did I make it worse? I shook my head. You made it real. She leaned back, exhausted, and closed her eyes. Then good. I sat there a long time, watching the door, half expecting him to return, to keep pushing until I gave in. But he didn't. Instead, my phone buzzed a message from Mom. Your father's not well. You've stressed him out. I typed back. He chose the stress. I chose peace. Then I deleted the whole conversation. An hour later, a nurse came in to check Lily's vitals. She's strong, she said, smiling. Kids always surprise us. Yeah, I said. She surprised me too. When she left, I looked at the monitor still clipped to Lily's finger. The line pulsed green, calm, certain. I thought about all the years I'd been that line for everyone else, steady, unflinching, terrified to flatline because it would mean they'd finally have to take care of themselves. Now, I was ready to let the signal change. I stood, walked into the hallway, and called the hospital security desk. If Richard Parker tries to visit again, I said, he's not allowed in my daughter's room. Understood, the guard said. You want it in writing? Yes, I said. In writing. When I came back, Lily was awake again. Dad, she whispered. Did I do okay? I smiled. You did perfect. She reached out her tiny hand, pale under the fluorescent lights. It's okay to say no, right? Yes, baby, I said. It's okay. She smiled, faint but free. Then we're both okay. I sat beside her, the hum of the machine soft and steady. Somewhere down the hall, a door closed, final but not cruel. For the first time in my life, cut off didn't sound like punishment. It sounded like a pulse finding its own rhythm. And when Lily drifted back to sleep, I whispered the only equation that ever mattered. Love without boundaries equals loss. Boundaries without love equals distance. But love with boundaries, that's peace. The hospital discharged Lily 3 days later. She insisted on walking out herself, 8 years old, tiny hand gripping the wheelchair handle like she was steering her own escape. The Oregon air smelled like rain and sea salt. When sunlight hit her face, she squinted, then smiled. Home, she said. Home. The word felt new, like something I hadn't known before. That night, while Lily slept on the couch with her nebulizer humming like a lullaby, I opened my laptop. My inbox was full missed calls from my mother, one from Pastor Daniel, and an email from the bank marked urgent. I clicked it open. A user named Richard Parker attempted to access your account at 3:14 p.m. The attempt was blocked. I didn't panic. I just exhaled. Slowly, I took screenshots of everything, filed them in a folder labeled Boundaries Receipts, text threads, account closures, call logs, the digital version of a locked door. Then I wrote 3 emails. To the bank, keep the fraud watch active. To the union lawyer, all harassment logged. Please advise next steps if they escalate. To myself, you are not the villain for saying no. When I hit send, it felt like turning a key. A notification buzzed, new text from Aunt Linda. They're panicking. She wrote, your father told everyone you froze him out. Good. Keep going. I smiled. A cold, quiet kind of smile. Later that week, Pastor Daniel called. Your parents asked me to reach out, he said gently. I know, I replied. They said you've changed. I have, I said. I finally stopped mistaking exhaustion for love. He was silent for a moment. Would you like me to pass that on? Yes, I said. Tell them I love them from a safe distance. That night, Lily showed me a new drawing. A stick figure family standing beside a koi pond. Above them, she'd written in crooked letters, boundaries equals safety. She pointed at one figure, smaller but standing between 2 taller ones. That's me, she said. I'm the line. I laughed softly. You're perfect. As she drifted to sleep, I looked at the paper again. The line wasn't a wall, it was a bridge. A path that led away from chaos and back to peace. They thought they'd cut me off. But what they'd really done was hand me my first weapon, clarity. And clarity, I've learned, can be the sharpest revenge of all. If you've ever felt like the outsider in your own family, hit like, subscribe, and tell me where you're watching from. Because sometimes, the bravest thing you can do isn't forgiving, it's refusing to be used again. They called it betrayal when I said no. I call it healing. And maybe one day, they'll understand the difference. Until then, I'm building something stronger than their approval. A life that finally feels like mine. This story isn't over. Not for me. Not for Lily. And maybe, not for you either.